Hi everyone, Lewis here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys my first impressions of a game called Insurgency. So this game has actually been in Steam Early Access for a long time, and it's one of the only Steam Early Access games that I know which has actually made it through Early Access, and now it is a full game. I don't know exactly when it came out, but it came out very recently, and it's been a big spurt of popularity. A lot of people have asked me if it's good or not, so I thought I'd show you guys this game, as I think it is very good. I've played it since it was in the early access, and it's changed a shit ton, all for the better of course. New game modes, new maps, new weapons, complete changes of the UI, and it's all down to the developers of the game, who are New World Interactive. Some of you guys might recognize the name. It actually started out as a mod for Half-Life 2 years and years ago, and eventually, since it was pretty goddamn popular, before it'd make it into a game, it's kind of called Insurgency 2, but I decided to call it Insurgency because that's what it's called on Steam. But I guess in a sense it is the second Insurgency. To describe the game simply, I'd say it's kind of like CS on crack. The only reason I say it's anything like CS is because it uses a source engine. So with that comes the beautiful graphics, the game not running like complete shit. I was getting about 200 FPS while recording here, and as a whole it just feels like a very solid game. It's really been polished to a level which I never expected it to become polished to. That doesn't really make too much sense. But for most early access games, for some reason I don't ever expect them to be like a game which I'd really expect to see in a store or something. This game is not only cheap at £10 or I'd guess around about $15, but it's also, you know, like I just mentioned, solid, very well polished, and a lot of fun. In this video, I'll be talking a bit about the game. I did actually try doing this originally as a live commentary, but a lot of that ended up with me saying fuck every time I died. I don't know why, but every single fight I have really in this game is intense. There's a lot of different game modes in this game, but most of them do involve respawn. So whenever you do die, you're a bit pissed off. So yeah, live commentary didn't work, so instead I'll just dub it over and tell you guys all about it. This isn't quite the normal survival kind of games I have on my channel. It is very similar to Battlefield, I guess. If you guys have played Battlefield or CS before, you know, it's not about survival, it's about shooting people, you've got objectives to do, and yeah, it's an FPS, what can I say? So talking about this game is what makes this different to any other FPS on the market. Well, it does have a lot of weapon customization. As you'll see in this video, you've got tons of different weapons depending on which class you choose. So say for example, if I play as an explosives guy, I'll have C4, and I'll have the ability to have SMGs, shotguns, that kind of stuff, or I could play as a sniper, in which case I've got Mosins, M14, stuff like that. So there's a lot of different weapons. I haven't seen them all, but depending on whether you're US or you are the insurgents, it'll change the weapons, and also depending on which class you play, that will also change the weapons which you can use. And on top of that as well, you've actually got supply points in this game, which I haven't seen anything like this in a game before, although I'm sure it's probably in some kind of FPS somewhere. But essentially, depending on how good your team and yourself do, capturing objectives, killing people, you'll get more supply points even to spend on customizing your weapon, light armor, heavy armor. Obviously, that would change the amount you can actually, or the speed you can sprint, but it would also give you more durability against getting shot at. Armor penetration, flesh penetration, normal ammo, tracers, foregrips, flash sights, laser sights, everything. There's a lot of customization for all of these different weapons, and you can spend those with your supply points. Of course, you can get grenades, that kind of stuff as well, but as a whole, it's a really neat system, and it encourages you to actually work as a team capturing objectives. In most games, Battlefield, some people don't give a shit about the objective, completely bait their team, just go around killing people, and yeah, they can just have the same shit every round. But with a supply system, which I think is a really neat system, it's good, basically. It's very good. And speaking of objectives, there is a lot of different game modes in Insurgency currently. I'm not sure if we're going to add any in the future. To be honest, I don't have any idea if New World Interactive are going to be updating the game. I guess they probably are, since we did in early access, so I guess updating it would probably encourage more sales, but I don't really know anything about that. But yeah, there's a few game modes which you might just guess what they are about, like VIP, Skirmish, Search and Destroy, Push. It's kind of a bit obvious from a name. VIP is probably one of my favourite game modes, and it features VIP, and you have to escort them to the end. I've seen this in CS. That's the only game I can possibly think it was ever in. But yeah, it's a pretty cool game mode, and it's nice to see we've got a lot of variation. It's not just about shooting people, it's about shooting people on different maps with different aims. I know, it's deep, isn't it? On top of those 2 game modes that is listed, there is a few other, and as well as there being quite a lot of maps already in the game, you can play pretty much all of the maps on a co-op versus bots kind of scenario. So you've got like 4 players against 30 or so bots, and it might sound really boring, but it's actually quite fun. If you're new to the game, I'd highly recommend checking it out, and you can get used to weapons with that. The reason I say getting used to weapons is because you might have noticed from the gameplay so far, this game is quite realistic in terms of a damage model. You've not only got the really good gunplay with leaning left and right, zooming in, you've got the beautiful 3D scopes and all the different weapons, but on top of that, when you kill people, or when you shoot people more specifically, they die pretty goddamn quickly. You can't even go to the extent of turning off the UI. If you join certain servers, will have no UI, friendly fire, and if you've just started the game, if you just start playing the game, you'll notice there's a lot of people at friendly fire in this game, because apparently people can't tell the difference between insurgents and the US. I don't really know what's wrong with people, but when I was playing earlier, I mean, I did, like I mentioned, play the game a while ago, but I don't understand how so many people are blowing themselves up, friendly firing, shooting things which aren't people. It's weird, but it's also interesting. So it isn't exactly the simplest game to get into ever. It does have a bit higher of a skill cap than most games, I'd say, because when you first get into it, you'll type in chat, how do I suck at this so bad? I play really aggressively, as you see in these clips, and it works out pretty well for me. But normally, this kind of gameplay style does not work at all, so don't do it at home, kids. Since the gunplay is so tight and there's so many weapons with a large range of attachments you can put on those weapons, and it even goes to the extent of you're actually able to use a shotgun for long range situations, which is a bit of a rarity these days, and I welcome it into Insurgency. It just makes the game a package which really I haven't found in a long time. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys who are watching this video have played Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and as much as I love those games, I honestly can't play them for a long time. Like, I played Battlefield 4 for a lot of time when it first came out, but it's kind of Battlefield 3 with new maps, attachments, and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's a good game, don't get me wrong, but I don't know why, but I just can't play it over and over again. And I think Insurgency is a game which maybe I could do that in, just because of how different it is to most modern shooters. I mean, all the gameplay which I did today when I was recording, this was all on my own. You could do the co-op situations with friends, or you could have an actual competitive scene, I guess, for Insurgency if you've really wanted. I just feel that's how good the game is. I'm not really sure what it is in Battlefield 4 and also Battlefield 3, in fact, that made me just not want to play it over and over again, even though it did have some addictive mechanics with attachments and whatnot. People love attachments. Well, not attachments, but more specifically weapons. I mean, you don't unlock weapons and attachments in this game unless you count the supply as that, which really you shouldn't, because that would just be stupid. But yeah, it's got a lot of those addictive things in Battlefield 3 and 4, but for some reason I still didn't play them for that long, even though they were a lot of fun. I don't actually understand. I'm kind of going off a bit here to a different subject entirely. But my point is, it's on the same level as those games, even though it's super cheap, and it does have, of course, a completely different theme to what you see in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. Insurgents versus the good old US. USA, woo! So with all these great features, you might wonder how popular the game is. Are you actually going to be able to play a game with other people? Well, when it was in the Steam Early Access, I'd say no. I didn't ever think it would actually become popular for some reason. Maybe that was naive of me. Not to say it was bad, but it's just not really a game which many people bought when it was even in the Steam Early Access. But I can confidently say now, there's a lot of people playing it. Just when I was playing today, it was about 2,000, and it seems like people on my friends list are buying it a lot. Like I mentioned at the start, people are asking me, is it good, Lewis? Yeah, it is good, and you should probably pick it up, because it's fucking cheap. The game's got a great mix of objectives and different servers, so whether you want to play it casually or you want to play it hardcore, then you can do that. If you just want to do some good old conquest kind of gameplay from Battlefield, then also you can do that. I'm not sure which game mode it is which is exactly like that, but it does exist. Maybe you want to play some VIP, or you want to defend points from the enemy, or you want to blow something up. There's pretty much a game mode and different server settings which you can configure to make anyone happy, which is always good to see instead of just catering to one audience. You really can't go wrong with this game. There's a few things which I've missed out as well, but with a realism setting, it's not just to the extent of turning off and on the UI. You can have the UI on with disabling the kill feed. So you'll see in some of this gameplay, I don't actually have any kill feed, which is, I guess, an in-between kind of thing, so you don't know when you've killed someone. It adds something to the game, and it makes it a lot harder to actually know when you've killed someone. That's pretty obvious. And another thing is actually the voice over IP. I had it disabled while recording because I don't want someone screaming down the mic while recording. But if I remember correctly, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think there's something to do with it. But I think with the voice over IP, you can actually use it in a direct kind of way. So instead of just talking to your entire team, you're actually able to talk to people around you. It's a pretty simple concept, but if you do want to play with super hardcore modes and you want to use it in game, then losing your buddy, it can be a lot of fun. If you ever played Daisy, you know exactly what it's like. If you were talking to someone indirect and all of a sudden they're gone and you don't know how to talk to them, have they died, have they won it off, who the hell knows? Who the hell cares? Although in this game, you probably do care, because if I've won it off, you're probably going to lose. There honestly isn't much else to talk about within the game. I haven't played a lot of the different maps, and I haven't played a lot of the different game modes on those maps. So I'd say in terms of the value of a game, you're going to have a lot of fun. That is, if you enjoy the core mechanics of the game, which you should be able to tell from the footage in the background. If you like that kind of stuff, and you like a bit of realism in your games, and maybe you want the option to completely hide the UI and shoot your teammates in the back of the head, then get kicked off a server, then this is definitely the game for you. Like I mentioned twice already, it's extremely cheap. I'll have a link to a website in the description below, which you can go check out the game on. I'd say it's a very good game to play with friends if you want to play something like CS or like Battlefield, but it's different, then yeah. I mean, I've loved FPSs all my life, and I feel this is a game which is apparently, not apparently, but what am I talking about? It's definitely getting a lot less attention than it deserves. I was going to make a video when it was in early access, but since, like I mentioned, it wasn't really too popular, I felt making a video on it wouldn't make it any popular than it already was, because I assumed it was just niche or something. But it isn't niche, because it's public now, and it is pretty popular. So it's still very popular, not to say it's not popular or something. I've already said that. There's a lot of people playing on it right now, but I feel it should be more popular than it is because it's a lot of fun. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching. If you guys would be interested in some more videos on Insurgency with some friends and whatnot, then don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I would like to do a game which is different to my normal games, but it is so far no one seems to really love a game which I've played which is different. But yeah, if you guys like this, then just go ahead and do that. And feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below if you think it's terrible or you think it's good. I'd love to read it because this game's addictive. But anyway, I'll see you guys next time. I'm going to go play some more Insurgency.